Okay, also look over here at like me and don't look at
I'll be camera
this
woman.
camera. Okay. So, what kind of loan did you have?
I took out a loan from Missouri. I don't remember a lot of details.
It's okay.
I took out like, what's the difference? Like one of them it does collect interest the whole time and one of them it does not.
Subsidized and unsubsidized, right?
That's correct.
Right, so I took out subsidized loans from Missouri because I came from a poverty district and there was no other way that I was going to make it to college. So I did that and combined it with the scholarships that I got in order to go to the U of A.
What kind of scholarships did you get, and do you know how much money you had in loans? Like what your tuition was after all of that and how much you were going to have to pay off?
I took out $7,000 in loans, I think, and then I had some like grants from the government. I had like a couple thousand in grants and then a couple thousand in scholarships. I'm sorry. It's just so long ago. I don't remember a lot of the details of like what I was doing. Like I just remember like trying to figure out how I was gonna get like all the money to come together and just like overlap enough to like go in the first place.
Did you do any research first, or did you have help from your mom or your dad, or?
I talked a lot to my math teacher about it, and at first, because my parents said don't ever take out loans, like do not take out loans no matter what, and I wanted to stick with that philosophy, but when I started actually looking at colleges and applying to them, I realized that there's no possible way that I was going to go to college without loans, and I basically just did a lot of reading about like the payback process, and I read a lot of like testimonies from people who had student loans and were still paying them off years and years and years later, so I tried to keep them as low as possible. I think that's the extent of the research that I did though, just reading like the fine print.
Okay, and then tell me a little bit about when you decided to stop going to school and how that happened.
I stopped going to the U of A because I had kind of a miscommunication with one of my professors that resulted in me having a failing grade, and that pushed my percentage, like pass-fail percentage basically over the line, so that the government would no longer provide me with the loans in the future because I wasn't doing well enough. And it was kind of just like the option of like taking out excessively more money with a worse type of loan, or just waiting to see if I could go somewhere cheaper and then get my grades back up so that I could get them with better interest, I guess.
And then what have you been doing since you left?
Since I left, I've been working to pay off my student loans and pretty much nothing else.
And how does that change how you're living? Like, do you live in a cheaper place? Do you eat cheaper food? Do you shop less? Like, what kind of changes does having that debt do to your lifestyle?
I mean, I definitely spend like probably more than twice on paying back my student loans than I do on food, like per month. It's a lot of stress also, like it's been a lot of anxiety, like when I sit down and do the math and look at how long it's going to be that I'm struggling with this and still paying it off, and it feels pretty useless because I've taken out the loan and I have pretty much nothing to show for it now. It definitely feels like the system is like stacked against me from the beginning.
What's your plan for the future, going back to school or making a career for yourself?
Well, I'm hoping I'm in definitely a stepping stone job right now, and what I'm hoping to do after this one is to move somewhere that's going to start working with a company that's going to help pay for classes, because I think that I just need a boost that's not just borrowing thousands of dollars.
Mm-hmm. So are you planning on going back to like community college and starting classes in the future, or is that like a distant plan or like maybe not in the plan?
It's definitely as soon as I can possibly go back, I'm going to. And I think I'm going to go to a community college probably to get gen eds out of the way, and then transfer to a university and get a 4-year degree.
Okay. So women, hold on, I'm gonna move this form because I can't tell if it's showing up in the buzzing. Sorry. So as a woman, you have more loan debt on average, but also like at the University of Arkansas in itself, you probably had about $1,000 more than like the average male. What do you think about that? Why do you think that's the case? Does it make you angry?
It does make me angry. I think that the reason that women have a lot more student loan debt is because there's a significant wage gap, so it's harder for us to pay it back in the long run. I think that it's because of a lot of pink taxes, it's more expensive for us to live day to day, meaning that we have to take out more in the first place. Can you repeat your question? Actually, I forgot the second half of it.
Just, I don't remember what you have more debt, blah blah blah.